So let's look at a set of numbers. And are we able to classify each of those numbers according to which category it falls into? So let's look at -7. -7 falls into, it's not a natural, it's not a whole number, but it is an integer and a rational number. -3/4. It's not a natural number, it's not a whole number, it's not an integer, but it is a rational number. A rational number, again, is a number that I can create as a fraction. So let's put -7, that's an integer. -3/4 is a rational number. I make it a little r. 0, can't see the 0 there. Which category is a 0 part of? Well, 0 is part of the whole numbers. Well, it's also an integer. It's also a rational number. It's also part of the real numbers. Likewise, if I back up with that same context, -3/4 is a rational number, and that's part of the real numbers. And -7, it's an integer, a rational, and part of the real numbers. So you can see some numbers are part of multiple categories. 0.6 repeating. Now 0.6 repeating is a terminating decimal, or a decimal that doesn't terminate. In this fashion, this is also a rational number. So it's part of the rational category and the real category. I probably should have put on both of these reals. When it's part of the real, usually there's two little stems on that R. Square root of 5. Square root of 5 is a number that's not rational. It means I cannot create it into a rational fraction or a rational expression. So this one's part of the irrational, and I'll make that one a little I. Pi, likewise, is an irrational number. Oh, root 5 is also part of the reals, and the pi is also part of the reals. 7.3. 7.3 is a decimal. Well, there's no decimals that were on here. Well, decimals are equivalent to rational expressions. So this one is part of the rationals and the reals. And square root of 81. What are we going to do with that? It's a square root, so is that a rational or is that irrational? Square root of 81 squares down to 9. So this does represent a natural number. So square root of 81, although it's in that form, is essentially 9. So this is a natural number, which is also part of the whole numbers, which is also an integer, part of the integer numbers, which is also a rational number, and it's also part of the real numbers. So we want to become comfortable looking at some of these different numbers and understanding how do they classify, which group or which set of numbers do they belong to.